Hey, what's up? Welcome to Space Couch. I'm in front of the computer. That means I'm working. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're good. We're good. We ran into a little bit of a nebula issue there, and the a couple of parsecs away from the nearest star base, so we get into it a bit. I can't tell if I'm live, but no, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're going with it. We're going with it. Well, let's just get back up. Okay. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. Fuck it. No, I clicked the wrong thing. All right. There we go. We're all good. Gonna sit down. Oh, Matt from Providence. What's going on? And hi! Welcome to Space Couch. My name is Brian. Call the spaceships to Davenport. I remembered this time. Check it out. It is season 2. Fuck it, I'm wearing green. That's the big change we made for season 2. Like we chromed out the outside of the spaceship. Summer is here. Morris Black is here. So season 2, fuck it, I'm wearing green. Thanks everybody for showing up. White Cube in the house. What's going on? As always, I'll plug the Space Couch pillow. Get that at Zazzle.com/gossicles. Guys, we made it to season 2, so I think that's one in the win column. Also in the win column are my guests on this episode. Ray in the place. What's going on, man? Kind of the dopest industrial blog / podcast / compilation / media empire. Long live Gossicles. All right. But we're not talking about living. We're talking about dying. With my guest today, you have, if you're in the industrial scene kind of at all, you've read a review or heard a comp from these guys or something, because they're kind of crushing it right now, and which I mean for the past few years. We'll get into that though. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alex and Bruce of I.UI. How is it going? You guys are on screen.
What up?
What up?
How's it going?
I die, you die. Thank you for coming on Space Couch. I do not disconnect from you, for we are now connected by it's billions of dollars a second to stream this from Canada up here into space. But I do appreciate you showing up. So
yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here, Brian. Thank you so much for having us on the Space Couch. We're here in the HQ, or the satellite HQ.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Fantastic. The wow. So people love your blog. I've been sent the guy that kind of introduced me to industrial music, freshman year of high school or something, sent me one of your articles. I forget what it was, but he said, this is the best thing, like the most well-written thing I've ever read. I get asked for access to you guys a lot, just because you're so wonderful. And if it sounds like I'm hyping this up, I am, just because I am a fan. Now it's a little bit, oh, hey, Planet Damage in the house. You guys are bringing out all the rock stars. Which, I guess that's kind of your job. But if we could give the listeners at home, because this goes out on a podcast too, just a little bit of your sort of superhero origin story, or how you got an industrial blog going, a Gary Newman themed one at that. So, go on.
Well, like so many great things in life, it started with a series of horrible failures. Years and years ago, Bruce and I had decided that we wanted to start a music blog. And like every other music blog that has ever existed, we did like 3 or 4 posts and then gave up on it because it was hard.
Yeah.
And keeping a schedule on it is hard. And then a couple of years later, we decided we were going to do it again, but this time we were really going to stick to it. And that one lasted for 3 or 4 months and then died because it was hard to keep a schedule. And so, like 7 or 8 years ago, was it 2011?
8 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
7 or 8
we decided
years
that we
ago.
do it again, and this time it stuck. And I'm not 100% sure why this time out it worked and the other times it didn't.
I think it had something to do with where we were each at in our personal lives, like i.e. they were not incredibly stressful flaming wrecks the way they sort of were the previous 2 times. And also we just made a point of actually coming up with a plan and a schedule for it, and sort of a publishing schedule that we were absolutely having to stick to, rather than just like, I'll write something whenever I feel like it, because then absolutely nothing happens. It's, we've used the metaphor or the analogy of like having a gym buddy. Like, it's all good and well to sort of say like, I'm going to start going to the gym. But if you have somebody that you're actually beholden to, who's expecting you to show up and like spot them or something like that, then you absolutely have to in that case. Or it's, maybe something sort of akin to band practice, I would think as well, right? Like, you can sort of say like, oh, I want to work on some music, but if it's just, you with no form, no structure, no plan, it might not happen. Whereas if there's somebody else waiting for you there, then, there's actually some drive. So yeah, that started up just over 8 years ago. We just hit the 8-year mark a little while ago. The podcast was added into the mix a year and a half, 2 years in. We've been cranking along pretty much uninterrupted ever since.
Endless cranking.
Lots of cranking.
I do have kind of a spicy theory about this, though, that I'm going to throw out there. Our previous efforts at music blogging, we had other people in the mix, and I think that diffuses responsibility.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, if nothing gets done, well, it's not my fault, it's all of our faults, and that's a lot easier than it's my fault. Mm-hmm. And, the horrible guilt that I feel if I don't live up to my end of the bargain, if there's nothing to diffuse it, it's enough to motivate me to actually do stuff. And I think if you look at a lot of like the long-running successful industrial music sites, like Regen, for example, there's one person, and he has other contributors, I believe, but it's one guy running the show and making sure that that site continues to happen, and that's probably continues to happen, right? Like, because one person owns it, makes it his thing to make it happen.
We also shouldn't downplay the power of the Gropner bump. Folks might not know this, but your Space Couch host, Brian, was the second person we ever interviewed.
Damn.
Website back when we had no effing profile whatsoever, like a month and a half, 2 months into the game. So thank you very much for doing that and for kind of, helping us have something to pivot off from.
Okay. Holy motherfucking shit. That was a perfect answer. I'm going to do my best to punctuate people within the chat room, because we just had Donna Lynch says, what's up? Christian Carver from A Million Bands has given you a thumbs up. Mannequin Bellamorte. Morris Black says, I don't know what I pictured you guys as, but now I know, and it's fascinating. And Craig Huxtable from Canada's own Ohm says, what's up? Okay.
Quick sec. Both just mentioned, Craig and Morris were both on that Slater record that came out earlier this year, Automata, and that record is dope, and everybody should listen to it.
So check out that Slater record. We've had the chance to play with Mr. Black a few times since moving to Boston, and he does that Slater track live, and it's awesome. Getting back to that amazing answer, because there have been organically a couple themes come up here on Space Couch that I love, which is you guys crushed it because you planned it, and you didn't just whatever, I'll just get up on stage and maybe we'll da-da-da-da. Like you put it together. You didn't give up after 3 failed blog attempts and like blamed the scene or some shit. And well, and then you just stuck with it and branched out. And I talk so much about the motor, and I love that you have found a modality, pardon the pun, to keep at it and just grow and grow and grow and become sort of the institution that Idai Udai is today. Branch Showers, Doug Jones, you have Damon and Nevada Hardware in the chat room as well. Gosh, could not love it. So off the top of my head, what's up to Tanisha of Standard Issue Citizen, excuse me. Get a gym buddy. Gosh, I don't know, prepare maybe. I like do a little homework. Space.
Well,
go on.
We were talking about the fact that you can achieve a lot of stuff if you plan ahead a little bit, but also there sort of has to be the jumping in with both feet and committing thing as well. Like I'm sure you guys, and I'm sure folks have heard about this by now. You and Matt Finale did a super secret thing at the Mechanismus Festival, and I'm sure that was equal parts. All right, we have to figure out how to do this, and 2, we have to commit to doing this because if we don't, then we're up the festival. So we really legitimately, it's that balance between the two things.
Totally.
Planning, but also just say you're going to do it, and then that forces you to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I planned out things for this interview, but to contrary to my own point, I almost didn't need you because we've always been kind of so simpatico. But it's a theme of the Caustic Space Couch episode about planning versus not planning. Like Matt has this, I'm caustic, I don't give a fuck, blah 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 blah. But he also never stops and just works and works and works and works and works. And like even with this Causticals thing, like we busted out a set of Wumpscut tracks, but I had to make all those goddamn backing videos. It took a long time. So we'll get into the Idai Udai nitty-gritty in a second, but personally, I'm really curious just because your insights into music are so maniacally good. Do you guys have a music history? Like, have you been in bands and stuff?
I have never done anything that I would formally call like a band or whatever it might be. When I was like 13, 14, I was fucking around with, what passed for DAWs on my guy at the time. And, there's a few like experiments that, I messed about with on my dad's 4-track and everything like that. It's more, I would say that in my case personally, coming from like a family that has a very musical background. Like my father and my brother are both musicians. My dad teaches music. My brother's a symphonic musician. So it's more been the fact that like just discussion, conversation, and analysis of music has been something that's just been in the house and in my family.
Oh wow!
Since I can remember. So and whereas my brother was like, oh, he has a real aptitude for actually playing. For me, it was more just like, oh, what am I hearing there? Why do I like this song and not that song? What does that have to do with how that has been put together? And that's sort of how I latched onto things. But no actual music to speak of. Alex?
I've messed around with a little bit of programming here and there, but I've never really committed to it in any real way. I find it fun to do, but and I think this is the thing that probably trips up a lot of would-be electronic musicians is finishing stuff is hard and boring, and making things that sound cool is fun.
Oh, God.
So if you have the choice between, well, I've got a bunch of sounds and a bunch of sequences, and I could probably hammer this into a song if I really put my back into it. Or I could just sit here and play Nitzareb bass lines on a 16 sequencer. Then I'm gonna make the Nitzareb bass line and just let that play endlessly, and then suddenly it's 8 p.m. and dinner time.
Too true, yeah. And yes, Brian Blacknoise says finishing things are bullshit. Eric Christopher, I forgot your band. Oh, I like it, but I forgot. Like, there's another rock singer here, but I'm blanking on your band, sir. Give me that when you get a name. But yeah, oh my God, that is. See, I'm glad I asked because that is insanely insightful. Like, yes, I can buy this synthesizer. Like my friend will come over and I'll play something, and I'll be forever almost done with my album. But like it's one versus all of nothing. Like it's not out yet. It doesn't. I haven't gotten to that done stage, because finishing things is tough. But speaking of finished products, I bet now that you guys are in terms of like in my book at least getting number one for reviews, what's it like to be you in terms of like in your inbox? Like, do you just get flooded with like shit every day?
The secret.
Unicode Machine. I'm sorry, I have your CD, dude, and I forgot that you were Unicode Machine. Sorry, your inbox.
The dirty secret is a couple of years ago, we got included on an aggregator of music blogs called Hype Machine, which at the time I thought was going to be awesome and it was going to raise our profile. But actually what it did was get our email address onto the mailing lists of every single music publicist on earth. And so if you go into our inbox, there's 5,000 emails.
Yes.
Approximately 100 of those have to do with industrial, dark wave, EBM, and related genres. We'll get stuff from publicists that we know, and the rest are just garbage.
Oh, no.
And some of it might even be good music, but it is not related to the stuff that we cover. So our email is essentially like it's a disaster.
It's wandering through like literally, PR blasts like advertising, like, as featured on Pitchfork or as featured on the BBC or something. And I'm like, you're doing a terrible job as a PR person if your band theoretically has coverage in mainstream outlets, and now you're sending it out to mailing lists of like indie music blogs, which, would include us, I suppose, even if the genre was actually on point. So that is it's not even a minefield. It's just a slush pile of actually sorting out the dross from the gold. And there have been plenty of times when just going through there, somebody who we don't know, have no contact with, has just submitted us a tape or an EP or something like that, and it's been really good. And you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. I want to feature this in tracks. I want to write a review of this. I want to talk about this on the podcast. But I'm forever worried about like how much of that stuff are we missing just because we are having to like scroll through so much of just the signal to noise ratio is not good. Okay. Let's say.
Ironically.
So let me publicly say then, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, private message, post on the timeline, put in the comments, the blog, anything that you think will help you get through to us if you are somebody who works in the genres that we cover, because chances are if you emailed us, we may not have seen it just due to the sheer volume. It depends on what time of day we're checking, how many bits of publicity we have.
I mean, I'm sure your country fusion jazz band is great, but we can't really feature it on Hidai Udai. Real quick, my friend and mentor Carl Learmont of Angel Spit says, "Thank you for getting industrial music to a huge audience. You rock." So you're getting all the accolades today as you deserve, and send stuff to Hidai Udai. They get a lot of craziness, so cut them some slack. Knowing that, I am double impressed. Like, I know I'm gushing a little bit, but like your homework on interviews is so impressive. Like, I listened to your Fires interview to get ready for Fires here on Space Couch, and I was like, Jesus, you guys really did a deep dive. Like you don't half-ass it at all. Your time management has to be amazing if you can not only scroll through like, here's my grunge rap band from the 90s that I want you to review, and like, let's get into like the meanings behind the lyrics of Fire songs. Like, where does that come from? Just whenever you get a chance to do it?
Like the actual time?
Like you put in so much effort on this thing.
Lunch breaks, transit, little bits here and there in the evening. It also kind of helps if you spend the more time you spend with any individual artist, the easier it gets, because you've already spent time consuming their interviews, their material. You know, the Fires interview you're talking about before we spoke with Adra, you know, we had listened to that album a bunch of times, and also getting ready to write about it. So it was a very naturalistic process, of just like an extension of how I listen to a record when I'm thinking about writing about it, right?
Yeah, that's the this kind of like I sometimes feel as though this stuff is an extension of the project that all of us are sort of always working on, in terms of listening to this music, thinking about this music, however we consume it. You know, we are all building up our own knowledge bases, not just of our own tastes, but of being able to draw lines between, oh, this band led me to that band, or oh, I'm noticing how this band evolved and changed over time. We all do that stuff to a somewhat passive degree. I think when we started on the blog, it just sort of forced me to be a lot more active with that. And if I was sitting on the bus having an idle thought about how a particular band's sound had changed between album to album or something like that, I'd actually just like jot a note down on my phone or on a paper or something like that, just to sort of actually have like, oh yeah, I have, not only have I had thoughts about whoever it is, whether it's, you know, Fires, whether it's the Gothsticles, whether it's Womscut, whatever it might be, but, you know, I have thoughts about those, and now I'm trying to give those some degree of structure in case those things ever come back and are useful. So
yeah, I mean that sort of acts as an extension too, and this is where I get to gush a little bit. One of the reasons that I think we're both such huge Gothsticles fans is that there's an aspect of what you do coming from inside. The call's coming from inside the house, right? Like the Gothsticles exists because of you being involved in this scene, and the songs that you've written speak to this broader culture. You reference artists in this culture. You talk about club experiences and other things from within, you know, the broad spectrum of, you know, quote unquote industrial. And so just sort of that idea of, well, yeah, if you're doing it anyway, you might as well integrate it into the thing you do.
That's well. You guys are serving up such wonderful golden T-balls. It's hard to know which one to swing at first. Thank you. One of the things I love about your format is you get to call it our thing, because it really is. It's our thing. Like, it's what else could you ascribe to it? It's music, fashion, mentality, if you want to get highfalutin to it, but it's just our thing, man. And so to answer the last point, like, yeah, what else would I write about? This is like my whole thing. Like one of the early episodes we had on Space Couch here is with ego likeness, and Donna was talking about, like, I don't know if you know, I'm ready to release this part of my life musically, but what else am I going to talk about? Like, just figure out what fucking rhymes with bat again? Like, this is like this is like my real life here. So yeah, it's going to get in. I love that you can work this in on the bus, and just you're coming through it not like a gestalt. Thank you, Jack Hollingsworth. It's a gestalt. You're not coming at from like, you know, this I am Sonic Seducer, and I'm like a vampire or something. Like, we're this, like, nothing against them, even though they don't like me. But I want to get back to an audience question. We kind of covered it a bit, but Janet Corpin asks, how do you discover the new tunes you review on the blog versus the inbox of crap?
Social media helps a lot. It's a huge bummer that Facebook is essentially a terrible promotional thing, because there was a golden era for us early on, before the algorithm got really bad, where we could literally just, you know, like every single band and like every single label, and then there would just be a torrent of new music coming at us constantly.
And then the algorithm for like recommended stuff was really good for a while there. And so it was just like switching over on the Facebook feed over to the iDud account and just sort of seeing like, oh, right, here are all of the new releases, whether they're North American, European, whatever it happens to be. That doesn't work anymore. No. One of the big, I mean, in addition, like, I mean, we'll be fucking scavengers monsters. We'll be parasites. We'll like I will totally ghost off of like what other people are posting about, whether that's again on social media, whether that's in the Slack channel that we run, whatever it might be. I'll do that all the time. The other one that I am often using is just it's dead simple, and it's a bit brute force, but just the tags on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
just
really?
popping over to Bandcamp and just like, what am I sort of in the mood to spend an hour researching today? Do I want to listen to some EBM? Do I want to listen to some darkwave? Boom, 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 boom. Half of the time, those things are being improperly used. People are just trying to
cast a wide net.
But Bandcamp's actually a lot better at that than most other forms of social media in terms of hashtags or other forms of tagging. So yeah, there's been plenty of times when I've just hopped on board with bands that not only were new to us, but don't necessarily have social or label connections with the established scene or the established ecosystem whatsoever. Just kind of random bands, maybe in the middle of nowhere, or people who have a very different background than industrial or goth, who happen to be putting out music that is cogent and relevant to it. And I've just stumbled across them through Bandcamp, so that's a big one.
Yeah, so artists, people do look at the tags on Bandcamp. They do matter.
Yep.
And also, and this is another kind of dirty secret, if your art is terrible, I am 100% less inclined to actually click on your tag, even though it the name might sound kind of industrially.
Yeah.
And that's the sad truth of it. I mean, one of the things about Bandcamp is that a lot of people, I think, use it the way that people used to use SoundCloud. I'm just going to throw a thing up. I'm just going to throw a thing up, and it doesn't matter if the art is terrible and if, or whatever, and then that kind of muddies the waters a lot. So, it does matter that your artwork is good, and it does matter that your tags are accurate.
Yep.
So thanks to Janet for asking that question, because I will admit, just coming from an artist standpoint, like say I do an album, it takes me like a year and a half to do, and today's the day, and I get it up in there, and it's done, and I can't even bring myself to look at the follow through, getting those right tags on there and stuff like that. I'm just too much reveling at having a dance party, in my apartment. They're like, it's done, but now if I don't put Darkwave on there or whatever, Ida Yuda is not going to find it. My buddy Planet Damage, Hungry in the House, asked, what do you guys think about Last FM's similar artist feature? Is that something that helps you?
To be honest, it used to. I used to be such a fucking Last FM nerd. I am.
Bruce, if he used to not have if he was listening to a song that he couldn't scrabble to Last FM, he would go home and he would play a blank MP3, which he would then tag as that song to make sure that listening stat went to Last FM, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I haven't thought about Last FM in 8 years. I don't know if that's big and hungry or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah. I used to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I used to really enjoy it, and I did used to use the radio feature. I would sometimes, if I was just feeling kind of uninspired or whatever, I would sometimes just put on, whether I was at work or at home or whatever, I would just sometimes put on let's listen to the related artist radio for this band, because that's just sort of what I'm in the mood for. And I did used to find a lot of good stuff that way. I let my paid account lapse 8 or 9 years ago, just because the site just kind of was disintegrating, and it's still there. I still use it, and I still scrabble the shit out of everything. And
it's a good place to find band photos.
Yes, that is what it is. Half of the time, if we have a photo of a band for a podcast episode or something like that, half the time it comes from us.
I'm going to find a picture of By God 20. Last find a picture of By God 20. Actually, what a useful similar feature now is some of Spotify's curated playlists, the one that the algorithm chooses for you. I mean, you're going to go through and it's going to be we thought you might enjoy this. And so you'll go through it and a lot of it will be stuff you already know. But every once in a blue moon, I would say approximately, once every couple of weeks, I find something in there that I wasn't paying attention to that's actually good and pertinent.
All right. Cool, man. I'll check that out. We had the Pandora What You Might Like on in the 2015 tour we did with Angel Spit. And it kept on recommending the same Lindsey Sterling song like 26 times. So you're just like that and motherfucking Sandstorm, and it's like we got it, we got it, Pandora. So I will check out that Spotify curated playlist. Thank you for the
The YouTube ones are completely useless at this point. Some friends and I will often like almost every week we'll watch some movies, and then we always end up like just throwing on random music videos afterwards, and it's always the same goddamn like 12 music videos that are showing up. The algorithms on YouTube are just useless.
Mine's now decided that the only song I ever want to listen to is "Goodbye Horses" by Q Lazarus, which means it's the best algorithm of all time because it's completely accurate. I do only want to listen to "Goodbye Horses."
See, mine just keeps recommending Fine Young Cannibals.
Interesting. So. I want to get Eisenfunk on here so I can ask them how they got Pong to play every other video. Like when it clicks over, nothing against them. We played with them once at Resistance Festival. Good guys, but goddamn does U2 love that song. So good on you guys for that.
That's paid for, man.
I don't know if it is.
I
don't know if it is. I don't think you can pay for placement like that on YouTube. Maybe you can. I don't know. One way or the other.
It helps with the song.
I think it is a confluence of industrial dance videos, which are more viewed than actual scene music videos.
Are they really?
And Pong was a popular one in that genre, and so one thing led to another, and that's why.
Okay, that's how I found the guy that I did the ultra sweaty video.
I was gonna sound like a crusty old man and talk about those videos, but then I remembered that you hitched your star to that, hitched back into that star as well.
Yeah,
so.
that was like we'll see if this guy emails me back or is an axe murderer because I've never met him, and then flew out to Los Angeles and magic happened. Well, that's kind of a neat segue into what I wanted to ask you, because with something sort of as tight knit relatively as our thing, and we're talking to White Cube and Morris Black and Nevada Hardware like in real time now, is it tricky, or have you been battle damaged Skeletored enough to be able to write a bad review? Because let's say the gasoline invertebrate or something drops a real stinker, and you're like, I'm personal friends with Brian, and I'll probably see him in 3 months statistically, but I can't honestly say this is worth listening at all. Do you have to weigh that?
Let me let you in on yet another dirty secret about I Die, You Die. Bruce and I have a limited amount of time to work on stuff.
Yeah.
And so if something's really bad, I'm not going to listen to it 5 or 6 times so that I can write a review of it. And I'm not going to write a review of something that I haven't listened to 5 or 6 times. So a big part of what we do is if I could go back in time, I would say that I would not brand what we do as reviewing. I would like to brand what we do as writing about things we think are interesting, relevant, and good. So if we're writing about a thing on I Die, You Die, generally speaking, there's a strong chance that we like it, or at the very least think it's interesting. If we actively really hate something, then it doesn't tend to get prioritized as a writing topic.
Okay.
Unless it is both, it is all of interesting, relevant, and bad, and that does happen from time to time, right? There are records that are bad in interesting ways, and there are bands who are relevant, who are, when they have something to say, when they have a release out, we feel that it is of import to the general, ecosystem, or whatever metaphor you'd want to use, and if they are going off in a direction that we don't think is especially productive or interesting or whatever, then that is worth commenting on. The whole point about, not punching down in terms of smaller bands, or if somebody's just starting out and sends us a demo and is like, oh, I'd really like some feedback on this, or, can you feature this or whatever. And it's just obviously not, this person hasn't spent enough time or is at the point where they really should be putting stuff out or whatever it might be. Then that's just sort of my, quiet Canadian conflict avoidance comes into play, and I just
well, I think that's great. Christopher Carson says right now, reviews are cliche. I Die, You Die does interest pieces. I don't know if you resonate with that, but
I like that. Interest pieces, I'll go with that. Yeah.
I guess the other thing, and to speak to your punching down point, I have a limited amount of time that I can spend on this, and I don't want to spend it shitting on somebody who is like trying to do their art, regardless of whether or not like I like it or objectively think it's good. If I do write something that's, you know, overall negative, it's generally because I feel like there's you know what you were saying, there's the interest there. It's an interest piece, right? Like if Wumpscut drops an absolute stinker, I'm not always going to write about it, but if there's something about it that I think is pertinent to something, then yeah, it might get written about. I don't know.
Or if it's somebody that you know can do better and has done better and is not doing so for whatever reason, that could be interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Brant Shower says, I totally appreciate that time acts as its own filter. I love that. And Big Time Kill says, hi. That's great. That's amazing. I like... well said. Like I could not hope for a better answer. With all your wealth of, you know, everything from the new Wumpscut down to like a guy that just cracked Fruity Loops or something, could you prognosticate on where you think the industrial is going in terms of like the next big thing? Like, do you see releases moving in a direction either musically or thematically?
I just this past weekend we saw a band called Night Terrors out of Seattle. Night Terrors are, one, very young, and two, they are very, very, very versed in classic industrial. Like, it's very clear that they've listened to a lot of FLA and probably other related acts. But everything they're doing is immersed in a kind of net culture, the likes of which we could not even have conceived when Daniel Meyer wrote a song called Net Culture.
Oh, nice.
They're super anime kids. They've obviously listened to just like a shit ton of what's in the ether on the internet. So like all the PC music stuff, like all kinds of weird oddball nightcore and stuff like that. And they're bringing that into their conception of industrial. So, I mean, that to me was like, it was a good set, but it was also one of those things where it's like, this could be a vision of the future for our thing. Like people who are coming up now, who are learning to produce, who have seen so much more in their time than we would have seen at their age. I think that's fascinating.
Oh, that is like, goodness gracious, that's a great point. Like I'm technically 38. I'll be 39 in August. But like when I was in high school, like my friend gave me a, wait for it, Neotech CD, and it it blew my mind. And then so just to discover a name, like now I know to look for Frontline Assembly, or have you ever heard of Birmingham 6 or By God 20? Like the name was golden, let alone the I know our record store that has that 1 foot long industrial gothic section of CDs. Now it's like you like everybody's got a SoundCloud and you can make techno music with your phone, which I think is fucking great. But like the point where I'm going with this is to have a band like Night Terrors that starts there. Like they're not like the idea that I know I'm talking quickly, mostly because I've been drinking coffee all day, but I like your point so much that like they were sort of born in high gravity, like and developed this extra muscle structure musically, and like so where I was flipping out of my skin to discover Anything Box, like I can have all those albums whenever I want to listen to it for free. Like that's very fascinating to me. Awesome.
The real Charlie 27s. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy old school fans in the house.
Did you just make a Charlie 27 reference on? God damn it! Not only are you themed with space, but see, like I get excited because like we can segue into nerd shit real quick. When they said they were announcing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I was like, God damn, that is a deep cut. And like now my mom knows who Space Lord is. That is insane. Like, oh, that's so good. Like
everybody loves Yondu, which is not something that I think I would ever be able to say in my lifetime. Yondu! Like 5 or 6 years ago.
So bonkers. Oh God, that was good. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna put this on the Mount Rushmore of episodes for that Charlie 27 reference. Nothing else. You guys are shit otherwise. But I kid. You're amazing. Is there anything you would like to see happen?
This is. I mean, it's a bit, blue sky thinking here. And it is happening. I am always excited when I come across bands, and it's mostly newer and younger musicians, who are coming at these sorts of sounds in terms of the thematics, not necessarily the lyrics, but often the lyrics, the thematics in a slightly more out of the box or maybe new and updated sort of way. I mean, I am a huge fan of, you name it, any of the kind of the classic periods, moments, subgenres, styles of industrial music back to the beginning. I have a huge fondness for kind of just vague second wave goth,
100%.
ethereal, spooky sort of
What
imagery.
rhymes with that?
Yeah, what you're saying.
Fuck yeah, sign me up, right?
I love all of that stuff. But I do think that if there is going to be any future for any of this stuff outside of kind of conservative, neo-traditionalist sort of pantomime of it, then people have to be finding some value in it in terms of what this music or what these styles of music, how those things can be used to talk about issues, ideas, realities, personal experience, current events, whatever it might be, that has more to do with what is happening right now or right in the future, rather than trying to sort of recreate this vision of what the apocalyptic future looked like as it was represented in Frontline Assembly albums from 25 years ago. Like, those albums, even if they are talking about the future, even if they are talking about crazy, fucked up, post-human futures or whatever, those things, they're artifacts of their own time. Mm-hmm. And I think sort of trying to just, if I'm making industrial music or if I'm making goth music, it needs to check off these sorts of boxes because that's what those people, these classic bands, were working with thematically at the time. Well, are those themes important, necessary? Do you have a way of presenting them that says something more about what's going on now, 20 or 30 years after the fact? And there are plenty of bands who are doing that. Whether it's a band like Lingua Ignota, who we really like.
Straight up, Grendel.
Grendel
put out Age of the Disposable Body, where they were directly addressing UK politics, Brexit, obviously, the Grenfell Tower fires. Yeah. That record is incredible. Yeah. And if you had told me, like, in 2004 or whatever, that Grendel would be putting out, like, the most pertinent political industrial record the year it came out, I wouldn't have believed you. Yeah. And yet JD, like, dug in deep on it, and it was incredible. I love that album.
Yep.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. That saxophone, But
of course,
so good. Like, I tend to listen to industrial music on the bike, and when that saxophone solo kicked in, like, I almost stopped and just, like, had to do a little dance party. To say nothing of the very pertinent political stuff, I don't want to shut on your point. I don't want to shut on your larger point, because that was amazing. That kind of knocked me on my ass. Like, we are in the future chronologically right now that FLA sang about in 1987. And so what is it going to be now? Fucking amazing. I'm going to smash cut into silliness because I can't do anything else. That'll probably get sampled, Bruce. That was dope as fuck.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll sample whatever. But that was... I'm going to dwell for another second on that answer because I loved it so much. And now we both like wrestling. What's up to Jeff Warfield, and Adra is now in the channel. What's up? Hey girl, hey. Although real quick, Planet Damage says, having said that, it would be great if Ida would release a compilation that features a lot of bands who have new eyes and perspective on the future as such. Maybe something to look for Telecompilation Volume 2. Now that came up, let's hit on that real quick. You guys put out Telecompilation Volume 1. It's awesome. People can get that at idaiudai.bandcamp.com, right? And what was that process like for you guys?
Super simple. We have a Slack channel that we run with our friends at Talking to Ghosts. If you'd like to join the Slack channel, you can send an email to contact@idieyoudie.com. Please put Telecon, that's Telekon, in the subject line. We'll send you an invite. And we were talking about, we have a channel there on music making, and somebody brought up the idea that we should do a Slack channel compilation. And I said, all right, here's the deadline. Everybody submit a track to me, and we'll pay to get it mastered and put it out, and pay to publicize it and put it out there. And yeah, we did it, and everybody in the channel came through and gave us an amazing song. So many of the songs on that I've listened to so many times. It's really inspiring. There's a lot of people who are like, musicians who I was mind boggled that they were willing to give us a song for this compilation. Speaking of which, like Agra, like the Fire song on there is incredible.
Yeah,
I love that song. Through Black Skies. Null Device, and then people who were just starting out, who literally were making like some of their first tracks, and everybody came through, and it was such a great experience that we are going to be doing it again. But of course, it is being organized through the Slack channel. So if you are interested in being part of Telecompilation Volume 2, we're just getting things started on it right now. I know at least one person has already finished their song.
Oh, nice.
But send us an email to contact@idieyoudie.com or hit us up elsewhere. Say you'd like to be on the Slack channel, and then come aboard, and we can give you the deets.
I love it.
The telecompilation was, I should say, like 90% Alex's work in terms of the delineation of work over here. I was on vacation in Europe when all of this was happening in the Slack channel. I wasn't keeping up on the Slack channel, so like I came home and Alex was like, "So this compilation we're doing," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, what? We're doing a comp? Fuck me."
That's
okay,
awesome.
all right.
The compilation's getting a lot of love in the chat stream as we're talking about it now. It's so good. I want to thank you real quick. I'm not on that Slack channel, but White Cube is, who is a coworker. So during work hours, shot me an email like, your album's off of Spotify or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, I heard about it in the I Die You Die channel. So like, and by the way, we need this thing fixed in production. So it was like this weird, convalescence of worlds. So
industrial guys working in IT.
I know. Brace yourself for a shock. It is pretty bonkers. But yeah, it was good. I've told this story on here before, but just real quick, like I guess they Googled me when I applied to the company, and one of the guys at the company was a fan. They're like, "Yeah, hire that guy." And then I talked to him later, and he's like, "We were gonna put some otters on your desk for day one, but we thought that would be weird," and it would have been. But it's all right. I still am happy to work for the place I work for. I tease this on purpose. See, radio professional, and not just a guy in space. By the way, send water and food. I'm so cold here out in the vastness of the cosmos. All I have is coffee and novelty shoes.
Astronaut ice cream, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, is there any other kind? I mean, really, that's the big question. Is if an astronaut eats conventional ice cream, does it become? Yeah, I mean, all this stuff we're talking about with the importance of industrial music on the psyche of the world is fine, but really we should address the ice cream question, I think. Like, so, we'll put that out into the ether, into the cosmos, pardon the pun. And if you have an opinion on if an astronaut eats ice cream, does it become astronaut ice cream? Let us know. Weirdly enough,
should get on that, like I don't know, like a Buzz Aldrin blueberry or something like that.
Oh, yeah. There was a band that influenced my kind of first band that became the Gossicles, really, called Astronaut Ice Cream Headache. So you guys are very on point with that. That took place back in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And which is where I first started up my interest in wrestling. And I asked if you guys, that was a shitty segue, if you could pair these classic wrestlers with their Does the walking out to the ring song have a name in wrestling lore, like a theme song or something like that? I don't know what the noun is.
People's walkout song.
Walkout music, entrance
Walkout
music.
music. Okay.
Entrance is probably the most commonly used one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Was it Alex?
Entrance music
Entrance
for the most.
music. I talked over you. Sorry about that. So we need entrance music for some classic wrestlers. Where would you put Hulk Hogan?
I feel like something by KMFDM would probably be appropriate.
Is something incredibly grandiose, over the top, possibly ironic, but also not necessarily self-aware at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
oh God, is that good?
Something like really like some like hypertrophied, I mean, really, any of the videos, any of the KMFDM videos in which you've got, like the really like big muscly dudes.
Oh,
you know what? Son of a gun, I think would actually work really well.
God damn it! The rainbows are shooting out of my motherfucking face. That is so good. Hulk Hogan is the KMFDM of wrestling. Just like says his own name 16 times in a beat, and ironic but not necessarily self-aware. Like, God damn it, that should be on the back of every Hulk Hogan T-shirt. And son of a gun, superhero number one has got that. Like, I'm gonna kick some ass, but am I? Oh God damn it! I wanna end the show here emotionally just because I love that answer so much, but there's more I want to do. Incidentally, I knew this interview was going to go long just because I'm so excited to talk to you guys. So if you need to eat or sleep or whatever.
Good.
All right, what do you got from Macho Man?
I would think something that maybe speaks to, on the one hand, the overabundance and effusive personality that he has, but also that kind of like darker, more like paranoid, frantic nature underneath him. So I mean, there's a million and one like leather strip tracks that would maybe work for that. Like I think something almost more like something melodic but dark electro.
Maybe like "Don't Tame Your Soul."
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, not only does he have literal leather strips hanging off of his arm. That's fucking good.
Our novelist friend Sam Weeb has this terrific theory about the Macho Man, which is that the Macho Man, whenever he's saying
No, that was me.
That was you?
That was me. Yeah. No.
That.
My theory was that when the Macho Man is always saying, punctuating his promos with right? Just well, let me tell you something, Hulk Hogan, when I get into the ring, or this or that, or when Sherry and I, I've always imagined that when he's saying that's sort of like a meta commentary of him talking to himself, like, Randy, that's a good idea. You can't trust Hulk Hogan. No, he's got lust in his eyes. No, he's a bad man.
Good call. I was talking to my guests before the show here, and I started up a quick bit that I'll do now because it involves the Macho Man. In like the late 80s, there was a lot of these really like ma and pop sort of wrestling organizations, and here's a deep cut. Ready? Do you guys remember Nails with a Z?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had weirdly. This gets so weird. He had weirdly I was like 9, so I don't know all the details, but he had weirdly subcontracted to this like ma and pop Milwaukee, Wisconsin wrestling organization. So it was about a trademark infringement name on the name Superstars, and it involved around, of all fucking wrestlers, nails. But my dad represented the WWF, and who was a witness in this trial but the goddamn Macho Man, right? And we had a chalkboard for some reason in our basement. So one of the weirdest moments of my childhood was my dad going, "This is the Macho Man's home phone number. Don't call it."
Oh no!
And I didn't. I was a very good boy.
Why would you do that to a child? That's the Ren and Stimpy. Don't press the big red button.
Totally right. He
could Space Madness. So very on point.
Oh, bringing it all around. Oh my gosh, you guys are knocking it out of the place left and right. Jeff Warfield of Never's Blessing says, "Snap into a Slim Jim." So it was a hit when he died to our family because the Macho Man became our guy. My dad talked to him on the rotary phone in our basement. It's just a weird thing. And of course, but I love that you addressed the layering of the Macho Man, because I had him at Angel Spit, where it's this big neon thing with bright colors and everything on the surface, but just this darkness like underneath it, just this gritty, like halfway through the match, his hair's matted to his face, and he's bleeding.
Yeah.
And his never shaved face just looks like 1,000 fucking pinpricks. Like so. Okay, I think we're on point on that. Let's bang out. Speaking of Neon, Ultimate Warrior and Bret the Hitman Hart.
You had Warrior, I think.
I mean, with Warrior, I would put him with something like, I don't know, let's put him with a classic combi club cut.
Okay.
Because in the moment, you're like, yeah, fuck, yeah. And then looking back on it a couple of years later, you might be like,
Oh my God, is that good? That is so astute. I die, you die, erudite is...
Come to my house, beat me up.
Oh yeah.
So does this mean that Future Pop is the honky tonk man in this equation?
Oh yeah, I don't follow that.
And that Combi knocks out Future Pop out of the hat.
No,
But,
I like it. No, I like Future Pop as the honky tonk man.
Bret Hart, you need an artist who people who know is the best and who is very popular but was never tops.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And if you wanted Canadian, you could maybe go with Numb.
Yeah, Numb.
I think like really good, like good work rate. Like just always reliable, always cranking out great material, even if they are not recognized, on the global stage. The way that if you mention Vancouver Industrial, Puppy FLA, right, great, we're done here. If you mention wrestling, like, oh right, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man. And then, Bret takes a little while to kind of be mentioned further down the line, but is probably producing arguably the best material.
So, God damn it. If you guys have, and you need another project, but I want to do this for the rest of my life. You guys are knocking it out of the park. Ultimate Warrior is 1,000% the comic Christ of wrestling, and Numb is such a good answer for Bret the Hitman Hart. He's Canadian. It's going to be good. I'm so excited for that new Numb album. I can barely I made the joke once, and I know I tend to have a bad habit of interviewing myself, but I based the last 20 years of my life trying to recreate the last 20 seconds of No Time with just that screaming like ah! Why do I have that knowledge at my? Because that's what I realized it. Oh no, like out of a sitcom when they discover something in the psychologist's office and they have this weird breakdown. I was listening to that song on the bike and I'm like, oh shit, that's what it is.
This is
my origin story.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, Space Couch exclusive for season 2. You got the gossical voice origin. That and the singer of the ska band Janitors Against Apartheid, if you know them. These things like Kermit the Frog and mixed with Numb. You threw in Honky Tonk Man. I want to jump on to a final point, but I know I gave you some wild cards for wrestlers. Do you want to use any of those?
Oh, gosh. We're both really, really, really big fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the biggest Japanese wrestling company and are the second biggest in the world next to WWE.
Yep. I'm wearing a Tomohiro Ishii t-shirt right now.
Yeah. Bruce has often said that Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan Pro Wrestling, who is a man shaped like a fire hydrant, does 3 moves, exactly 3 moves. He does a lariat, and he does a brainbuster, and he does a headbutt, pretty much.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. And who is probably the best wrestler in the world? I don't know.
Arguably one of the top 2 or 3 in my book.
He's incredible. You can't watch him have a bad match. You've often said that there's a song by Diesel Dudes that he should come out to. What's that one?
Just Pitbull by Diesel Dudes. I've always, in my head, I have one of those, constructed by anime fan, VTR videos of, just a highlight video.
Yeah, it's...
him fucking forearming dudes in the face, delivering brainbusters, set to Pitbull by Diesel Dudes. That's one that I've always thought would really work. I was hoping there was sure it's just you and me and God knows however many other people listening to this. I heard some scuttlebutt that there was a chance, I don't know that anything is ever going to come of it, but that maybe Three Teeth was going to get some music licensed by the WWE. I don't know that anything ever came of that, but I was thinking they'd be a really good match for the former Tommy End, now wrestling as Aleister Black in the WWE, right? But both heavy, beefy, dark, aggressive, but also has this kind of like occult, Gnostic, kind of, more spooky undertone underneath them.
He's got the dulcim, I will meditate and then destroy you.
Yeah, I think Three Teeth would be a good fit for him.
Oh, that's fucking good, man. Let us not glaze over your amazing point of the music video you've privately constructed in your head. Like, we've all done it.
I don't do Final Cut or anything like that. I wouldn't know how to do it.
Right, but like, no, my brother told me this story. Like, that's such a weird thing. Like, of he can see the camera circling around an anime kid at the top of a mountain in the beginning beats of Moby's "I'm Feeling So Real" with the "I'm feeling so real." Okay, let's go out on this maybe. Because I have a feeling we'll go off on 5 or 6 other tangents. But maybe this is me as an ugly American talking, but you brought up Numb and FLA and there's of course Skinny Puppy, and maybe this is too highfalutin, but do you ever feel like Canada and even your own Vancouver gets overlooked as the progenitor of industrial music? I mean, Frontline Assembly, Skinny Puppy, it seems to be like this big, at least when I was brought up, it's like America, Germany, Belgium, and I guess Canada. Like it's like this fourth place thing, but like it should be like on the flag, like a maple leaf and like a gear, you know what I'm saying? But is that way out in left field, or is there anything in that resonates?
I feel like Vancouver gets its due.
Do you?
Like, I moved to Vancouver literally because of Skinny Puppy. Like, I grew up on the east coast of Canada, and like when we had 2 options of places that we could move to get out of Halifax because it was an economic dead end. And the first was Montreal, which was very appealing because Montreal is a really fun city. If you've ever been there, I know you have, Brian. It's a really fun, cool place with fun, cool people.
I can drive there now.
Yeah.
And I was like, Vancouver, 100%. And of course, getting off the plane, like Axl Rose in the video for fucking Welcome to the Jungle, with like a hay thing sticking out of my mouth and my baseball cap on backwards, straight up expecting that the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to run into Bill Leeb and he's going to give me a handshake and induct me into the Vancouver Industrial, super club. And of course, that wasn't the reality. There wasn't shows happening all the time and everywhere. There's a club scene like there is in every city that's had its ups and downs. But I do feel like overall Vancouver's reputation is roughly commensurate with its influence.
I feel as though it is given its due, or at least it has a mystique in certain parts of Europe that maybe it doesn't necessarily have within the U.S. When I travel to Europe, if people find out that I'm from Vancouver, they're pretty excited about that. There are so many European bands, Cardinal Noir and plenty of others who are doing this very conscious homage to what plenty of them have self-identified as, like, the Vancouver sound.
Yes. Cardinal Noir, when they put out their first album, literally described themselves as quote-unquote Vancouver school.
Yeah.
That was
that's exciting. That's cool, man.
One of my fondest memories is of being at a festival in Germany, and this would have been I can't remember which year, 2012, 2013, but it was a tour in which Frontline was touring Europe. Technically, Reese was not back in the band at this point, but the opening act for the tour was Conjure One, so you had effectively. All of them working and touring together, and the whole bit was that Reese would come out, and do keyboards for the encore. And seeing this crowd in Germany react to Bill Leeb and Reese Fulber on stage together for them the first time in God knows how many years, and just watching all of these Germans just lose their shit over that was sort of like, that's kind of,
that's cool.
That's cool. Like a guy with a Guile haircut who was like, it's Reese Fulber.
That's just Reese Fulber.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I think the legacy carries a lot of cachet. I think, maybe the further away you get from it. One thing that I am interested in is sort of the way in which the Vancouver sound and scene evolved out of a broader alternative sound that, whether you associate it with network records or whatever, those are still some of the really interesting and weird and hidden things we're still finding out little tidbits about, right? You end up like having drinks with somebody who's a bit older or whatever, and they were like, oh yeah, like my, whatever punk band played a show with Skinny Puppy here or there. Oh yeah, the whole deal with Skinny Puppy booking that show, at Expo 86, in which,
Oh, it's because, like, I forget if it was Brain Eater or somebody else was like, I think it was actually Kevin. No, it was Kevin because he booked Neubauten to play at Expo 86 in Vancouver, and all these weird things. I remember when we interviewed Bill Lieb a couple of years ago, he dropped this one little bit of ephemera that blew my mind. He was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do a bad Bill Lieb impression.
Okay.
I would go down and meet Kevin at the pen store he worked at this one kind of notorious Vancouver mall. So Bill Lieb and Kevin Key are sitting there in a pen store at the mall talking about like SPK records.
Of course. Oh, that is so awesome. I mean, like, and in a weird way on point, pardon the pun, it's on ballpoint, but like, I mean, we think of these like, does he just hang suspended by metal tentacles in a cyber cube all day? Like, no, dude's got to eat, and he was 16 and a half once, so he's going to work at the pen store, but like, to actually hear it is nutter butters. You guys have Terminus coming up, yeah?
Yeah. What is it, a week and a half, 2 weeks that we'll be flying?
Like 10 days out, yeah.
That is going to be awesome. Lineup looks insane. Diesel Dudes, who you mentioned on the podcast, or this will be podcast on the space feed or whatever this is, today will be there. Get them to do the Japanese.
I mean, they seem to appreciate, like gentlemen of a certain, kind of like swollen, thick carriage. So
I mean,
it's entirely possible.
If this could be the genesis of
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say this could be the genesis of the Diesel Dudes Japanese wrestling theme song that will then take over the world. I think that would be great. I talked over you. What were you going to say, Alex?
I was going to say a significant portion of Diesel Dude's set seems to be doing push-ups.
Yeah.
And failing to do push-ups, which I find very relatable. So.
Well,
I'm interested in seeing if I can just get into like a kind of a one-off, like 1-for-1 sort of competition with the singer or something like that. See how that goes.
Genius. Yeah. Like he has an industrial fan part of the crowd, and the other just wants to get in shape. And like, oh man, I gotta steal that marketing. All right. I'll come up with something. See, I thought I had the market cornered on cat shit scoopers, but now I gotta get the elusive push-up crowd.
That is my girlfriend's favorite piece of merch that she's ever seen at any show ever. And she brings it up all the time. And I think sometimes she goes to other people's shows and looks at the merch table and just sort of does like a not interested.
Well, I have we will let's bring it on home here in a second. You can get that cat shit scooper, the new model. It looks great. This Friday we're playing with the wonderful Helix, Mary Catman and some young upstart called Assemblage 23 at in Amityville, New York, and then Sunday is a noise fest in Lowell, Massachusetts. Check out thegossicles.com for that. It's going to be great. You can get Space Couch. The music of Space Couch is at Tiger Squawk records.bandcamp.com. Speaking of which, Tiger Squawk Records own Science Fiction has given you guys a shout out.
Yo!
And that's all I got for right now. You can get telecompilation at idieudie.bandcamp.com. Anything else you guys want to plug?
idieudie.com updates 5 days a week.
5 days a week, yo!
Yep.
The podcast, we have a technical available through any of the podcast apps that you might be using.
Listen to it on Spotify, subscribe on your iTunes.
Whatever you got. Yeah.
Whatever you got. Okay. Yes, Janet, check out. Are you guys DJing or anything at Terminus, or are you just hanging out?
Nope.
All right.
Just chill.
All right. Well,
we have plans where we're hoping to get something kind of cool happening, but I don't want to say what it is in case we fail miserably.
Oh, you heard it here first on Space Couch. Something cool might happen. Either way, the superstars, to my money, the one of the best things that happened to industrial music, to our thing, if you will, in the last 20 years. Thank you guys so much for being on Space Couch. This is great. It's weird because it's like, I'm really good friends with, let's say, Angel Spit, but like I'm also a giant Angel Spit fan, so I get to be like, yeah, hey, your album's really great, and I don't want to like fanboy out because we're at like a coffee place right now. Like it's it's pretty dope. I'm gonna kick it over to the outro screen. Big ups to Planet Damage for writing our outro theme. We can talk over the outro music here. You guys looking forward to anybody in particular at Terminus?
Besides Diesel Dudes, it'll be nice to see. Oh God, my brain is farting on me.
I'm looking
here.
forward to see Croy Lies.
Yeah,
LaCroix Lies?
LaCroix Lies? Yeah, I heard those guys are sparkling. But
yeah, I am super into seeing Neurotic Fish again
Yes.
because I love Neurotic Fish unapologetically.
Mm-hmm. Who else have we got?
It'll be
former
good to
guest
see
of the
Elf
show,
in that
Caustic,
context.
Glass Apple Bonsai.
Sear Skew. I still haven't seen Vor Aurora, so I'm really interested in that. Obviously, I mean, it's fucking How Job and it's Covenant, so, you can't complain about that.
Looking forward to seeing Ice and Tilla for the first time.
Woo.
Oh, yeah. Still haven't seen them before.
Chicago. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Peace.
wait. Oh yeah. Sorry. What's that? Oh, peace.